In the world of Naruto, there is one jutsu that feels harmless. A technique taught to children, used for pranks, for training, for overwhelming enemies with numbers. A jutsu that looks simple. The Shadow Clone Jutsu. But what if I told you? This technique was never meant to be safe. What if I told you it was sealed away, not because it was difficult, but because it was dangerous in a way most shinobi could never survive? Tonight, we uncover the dark truth, the hidden cost, the silent damage, and the real reason Shadow Clone Jutsu was classified as forbidden. Because once you understand it, you will never see it the same way again. At first glance, Shadow Clone Jutsu feels like a basic illusion trick. Create copies, confuse the enemy, overwhelm them with numbers. But shadow clones are not illusions. They are real. They bleed. They feel pain. They think independently. Every clone has its own consciousness, its own fear, its own will to survive. And that alone changes everything. When a shadow clone is created, the user does not just split chakra. They split their mind. Every clone experiences reality as if it were the original. Every punch they take, every wound they suffer, every moment of terror they feel. It all goes somewhere. Back to the user. Most people believe shadow clones simply disappear, but they don't vanish without consequence. When a clone is destroyed, its memories return, all at once. Imagine experiencing dozens of deaths in seconds. Imagine feeling your bones break, your lungs collapse, your body torn apart, again and again and again. Now imagine your brain trying to process all of it at once. This is the part no one talks about, because the damage isn't physical, it's mental. In the Naruto world, the human mind has limits that even chakra cannot protect. And Shadow Clone Jutsu pushes directly against those limits. This is why most shinobi are forbidden from learning it. Not because it is powerful, but because it is destructive. Let's look at the evidence. When Naruto uses shadow clones, he doesn't just gain numbers. He gains experience. Training that would take years, he completes in days. Why? Because every clone trains independently. And when they disappear, their knowledge floods back into Naruto's mind. This sounds incredible, but think carefully. Hundreds of minds collapsing into one. Hundreds of perspectives, thoughts, mistakes, failures, all smashing together. For a normal shinobi, this would be catastrophic. The brain would overload. Memories would clash. Personal identity would fracture. Reality itself would blur. This is where the danger truly lies. Shadow Clone. Jutsu doesn't just multiply the body. It multiplies consciousness. And the human mind was never meant to be divided like that. Ancient shinobi understood this. They saw the results. Ninjas who used shadow clones excessively began to change. Some lost their sense of self. Some suffered mental breakdowns. Some could no longer distinguish their own memories from the memories of their clones. They didn't know which experiences were truly theirs. And slowly, they stopped being human. This is why the technique was sealed away, classified as forbidden. Not because it kills you instantly, but because it erodes you silently, piece by piece. Now let's talk about death, because this is where the truth becomes terrifying. When a shadow clone dies, it experiences death fully. The pain, the fear, the final moment. That experience returns to the original user every time. Most shinobi might create 1 or 2 clones at most. Even that is dangerous. But Naruto creates hundreds, thousands, which raises a disturbing question. How many times has Naruto died? Not symbolically, but mentally. How many executions? How many impalements? How many moments of absolute terror has his mind absorbed? Naruto laughs. Naruto smiles. Naruto keeps moving forward, but no normal mind could survive that, unless something else was at play, and that brings us to the darkest theory of all. Naruto doesn't use Shadow Clone Jutsu safely. He survives it unnaturally, because he was never alone in his mind. From the moment Naruto was born, he carried something inside him, the nine-tailed fox, Kurama, a being of pure chakra, a consciousness far older than any human. When Naruto creates shadow clones, the chakra used is not only his own, it is Kurama's, and Kurama's presence may have done something no one anticipated. It may have acted as a buffer, or absorbing excess mental strain, stabilizing Naruto's fractured consciousness, taking on pain that would have shattered a normal shinobi. In a sense, Naruto's mind was never singular. It was already shared. This might be the only reason he survived using Shadow Clone Jutsu at such extreme levels, which leads to an even darker implication. Without Kurama, Naruto may never have survived childhood, not because of enemies, but because of his own technique. Think about it. A forbidden jutsu, used constantly by a child. No supervision, no safeguards. If Naruto were a normal boy, his mind would have collapsed long ago. Memory overload, identity fracture, permanent psychological damage. And yet, he endured, smiling, laughing, dreaming of becoming Hokage. But survival does not mean safety. The effects still linger. Naruto often acts impulsively, emotionally, as if parts of him are still fragmented. Some fans believe this is personality, but what if it's damage? What if years of shadow clone feedback reshaped his mind permanently? Now let's go even deeper. Shadow clones do not disappear peacefully. They are destroyed, and destruction is violent. Every time a clone is killed, the user experiences death without dying. Over time, this could desensitize the mind. Pain becomes familiar. Fear becomes distant, which might explain something chilling. Naruto's incredible tolerance for suffering. His ability to keep fighting when others collapse. His lack of hesitation in throwing himself into danger. What if Naruto isn't fearless? What if he's already experienced death so many times that it no longer terrifies him? Shadow Clone Jutsu may have turned him into something beyond human, a shinobi who treats death as temporary, a mind trained by repeated destruction. This is not strength. This is conditioning. And ancient shinobi feared this outcome. They feared warriors who could die endlessly without losing their will, because such warriors lose something else, their humanity. This brings us to why the third Hokage reacted so strongly when Naruto stole the Forbidden Scroll. The scroll did not just contain dangerous techniques, it contained techniques that break the rules of being human. Shadow Clone Jutsu was not sealed to protect enemies, it was sealed to protect the user, to prevent shinobi from tearing their own minds apart in pursuit of power. Naruto broke that rule and survived, but at a cost we may never fully understand. Now ask yourself this: if Shadow Clone Jutsu is so dangerous, why is it still taught at all? The answer is chilling. It isn't. Only a weakened version is taught. The Clone Jutsu. An illusion. No consciousness. No pain. No memory feedback. Safe. Controlled. Shadow Clone Jutsu is the real version. The raw version. And it was never meant for ordinary ninja. It was meant for monsters. Or gods. Or weapons. Which raises one final question. Was Naruto lucky to survive Shadow Clone Jutsu? Or was he chosen? Chosen because only someone carrying a being like Kurama could handle its true cost. Chosen to become something greater than human. Something forged through countless deaths. absorbed through fractured minds, shaped by a forbidden technique that was never supposed to be used this way. And if that is true, then Shadow Clone Jutsu is not just forbidden. It is a test of whether a shinobi can lose pieces of themselves and still move forward. So now I ask you, if you had the power to create hundreds of versions of yourself, knowing each one would feel pain, fear, and death, would you use it? Or would you seal it away, forever afraid of what it might turn you into? Tell me your thoughts in the comments.